Welcome again. This is a brief video going over the schedule of readings and assignments. So basically, starting in week 3, so for September the 13th, there you can see on the schedule here that there are 4 columns. And so basically, what you need to be doing is every week before Thursday at 11:59 p.m. or basically midnight, you need to have done some work related to the literary history anthology and to periods of literary history, a little bit of work related to Tyson and Korea, so basically the methods part of the course, a little bit of work around Henry V, and then working on various assignments that might be coming due. So just starting in the first couple of weeks where we are getting our bearings, you're going to be reading primary sources. Now, just in case that's a new term for anybody, a primary source is the thing that we study in our field, whatever our field is. So in this case, the primary source would be the novel or the play or the poem or the literary work. In chemistry, it might be a bunch of chemical reactions of some kind. In psychology, it might be an experiment that's performed. In poli-sci, it might be looking at some kind of statistical results from something. That's the primary source. A secondary source is a discussion of primary sources with an argument around it. So in our case, an interpretation of Henry V or an interpretation of The Great Gatsby. In chemistry, it might be an interpretation of an experiment, and in psychology, it might be an interpretation of behavior, something like that. So the first couple of weeks are mostly devoted to primary source work. So for week 1, you need to very quickly start reading The Great Gatsby. I'm assuming this is a novel that you may have encountered, possibly read before, so I'm hoping that it might just actually even be a review and that you can kind of skim through it. But in any case, you need to have read The Great Gatsby one more time and feel fairly confident about everything that happens in it. I'm asking you to post 3 different passages from The Great Gatsby onto a bulletin board so that you can kind of show the passages that you thought were the most interesting from the beginning, from the middle, and from the end of The Great Gatsby, interesting or significant in some way. And then I'm also going to be asking you to read an article very quickly. And so there's going to be a separate tutorial here in just a second that you should look at on using the MLA bibliography and using our library resources. But there's an article that I want you to read right away. It's called Recent Studies in Elizabeth Cary in a journal called English Literary Renaissance from 2016, and it's by Christina Luckage and Rose Snade. For week 2, there are some other online sources that you should be looking at on Blackboard. You should be preparing your questions about Great Gatsby. You should start reading Henry V. And on Thursday, September the 6th, so normally I'll be doing this on Mondays, but on Thursday, September 6th, I'll be online in Blackboard so that we can meet in person and you don't have to watch a video. We can just chat if you've got any kind of questions, but mostly just trying to kind of make sure that we understand where we are on a couple of things. But you should be reading Henry V, and there's 4 posts that I want you to do about Henry V. One, well, you'll see the topics. There are separate posts about that. And then there are a couple of things that you need to have located so that by September the 13th, you are starting to do some of the secondary readings. And then basically from September 13th to the end of the semester, with the exception of the week of Thanksgiving, we'll be doing, as I say, basically there's 4 different columns here with 4 different things that you need to be doing. Every week you need to locate some material about a period of literary history, and it's basically just going to be arranged chronologically, starting with Britain, so medieval British, 16th century British, 17th century British, 18th century British, and so on. There's readings out of Tyson and out of the Handbook of Literary Research, the Korea and Owens book. And then in the 3rd column, an article related to Henry V. And then in the 4th column, you see some assignments that are either due or warnings about the fact that they are coming due. And then at the very end of the schedule, you get down to the very end, you'll see that the last time that we'll be doing posts and so on bulletin boards comes around November the 29th. And then the last week of the semester is when you'll need to get your research guide posted. And then the last little thing you'll do this semester is to make a presentation on your research guide and post that to the bulletin board by December the 13th. By essentially 11:59 or midnight on December the 13th. That's your final product and the final assignment for the course. So now I would recommend that you turn to using library resources and the MLA bibliography. There's a video associated with that.